Hello there everyone and welcome so much back to Planet Coaster today, where we will be working on quite a few different things, and as promised we will also get to a ride. And there's a little added bonus for those of you who stick around to the end. You'll see more than just a ride coming in towards the end. The end is also where, and I don't want you to hear this and just skip there, but the end is also where I feel I accomplished my goal to the best of my ability. Now, for the beginning of this one, we're going to be working on what's going to be sort of a clock tower that will hopefully be seen even all the way back to the parking lot. And it will, like the tower itself, I feel is more or less done when we finish off here. But the actual building itself will need some more work. I also focus heavily on the front side rather than doing the whole building. And a lot of the reason why I keep doing that is because I feel there's a legit possibility that the back and sides might not even be relevant for the course of action. And like Disney, they have when you walk down Main Street, it's not necessarily hugely detailed buildings. It's just hugely detailed facades, and that's sort of the approach I went to. Whether it's because I compare myself to Disney or because I'm lazy, it would probably be the latter of those. Decide that the clock tower probably should be a little bit higher, because it's a clock tower. It's like Big Ben ish esque. It doesn't really look like it, but close as you get it, I suppose. Absolutely not, but as close as I get it, without actually using a reference photo. As for the edges here, obviously they need to be, there's a need for something on the edges of the building. There's a ton of options, but I of course go for the same as we used on the last building. Way to go for the the creativeness of this whole ordeal. Now I have started to play a little bit more with the parts that came with the vintage pack. And a lot of them has been used yet. I'm not entirely sure, but I think possibly that the door down there is from the vintage pack as well, but I might be mistaken. But at least the pieces we used on the edge there is definitely from the vintage pack. As for the ride being placed today, I'm not sure I actually hit the mark in terms of the age of things. I'm guessing they had the technology to, but I'm not entirely sure that they would have put it in a theme park. Because as I remember my history, might be a strong word. As I remember it, though, I think Walt Disney was the first proper theme park as we know it today. But I might be mistaken in that regard. And if I am, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to, but there we go. Anyways, it's a little bit, the building itself is a little bit naked, I feel. But at the same time, I feel like it turns out all right. Nothing more, nothing less, but just fine. And also the I need to do something with it because the edges of the building there is in high need of some work. And I probably have to do the side of at least the side towards the parking lot, or the left side seen from here, of the building as well. But yeah, I'm looking for something I could use to sort of edge off the path there along the tree line on each side, so as to make a little bit of a curb. And I've been thinking about that. Maybe also do that for the entire path, as a whole. But we'll see. Possibly we'll see in the future. Time will tell. Now there's going to be quite a few skips of time in this episode, because I figured there's probably not everything you want to, or for that matter need to see. Like, for example, me placing 860 different fence pieces, which I will be doing. And it didn't count them, but I would estimate around there somewhere. It felt like that, at least. This is going to be sort of a possibility to put in a sort of shuttle ride, track ride here as well, in the long run. And that's what all this is about. And I wanted to be sort of a street look to it. At the same time, with the paths used here, it's obvious that it's not, a proper road. It's more of a theme park road, because you have the logos stamped on the pavement, or on the road, rather. I also use a few blueprints from the good old workshop. One of them you've barely seen there on the edge. We're going to go through them at the end of the episode as well. And this is our first ride there, ladies and gentlemen. This one will indeed be found in either the Vintage Pack or the Vintage Update. Now, I wish I stopped the queue line there, let me tell you. But I was, strong in my belief that, no, it needs to be longer. And I regretted that ever since, basically. Especially since, when I look at the pro builders out there, like Masked Bandit and Geekism Studios, and those are mostly the ones I watch the most. I see that they do these things in a lot different way than I do, and I wish I knew how they did it, but I don't know how. The same goes with the ability to do what do you call them? The custom domes and such, and custom spires. I see what they do, but I've tried a couple of times and it doesn't really look particularly good. So I've somewhat gone away from even attempting it. Now I think we will be cutting after after I've placed the fences here, and we start placing fences along the path. Here we go. Here comes the move that I now dread seeing, because it took so long in order to place down the fences for this. But in the end, hopefully it was worth it. I'm guessing the guests won't really say so if it is. I another dumb thing I did this episode, or throughout this recording, I placed down about half of the fences that you can see there before deciding, you know what, it should be the same color scheme as the ride itself, right? So instead of green, I went for white. Now, of course, I changed the color of the fences one by one, rather than changing the color of the ride. So yeah, that was a 10 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. Yeah, there's a huge load of fences in this area, and I figured we should probably have some sort of thing happening in this little pocket of space there. Not really sure I ended up with a good solution for that. I found this though, and that was like What? Ingenious. Thank you. You know, Frontier. That will come in handy, especially if we had more of them. But yeah, we go for a archaeologist just digging. Figured he could also be seen as sort of a gardener, which doubled it up a little. And I looked for maybe we should try to either go for the archaeologist theme or not. But I decided, well, you know what, the gardener will have to do. Now the balloon creatures that you saw ever so slightly there. Not sure where else they would fit. But I figured, if it's anywhere other than Thanksgiving theme park or similar, it would probably be in a more vintage style park, rather than in the high in the high edges of modern parks. But yeah, so that's the theory behind that, at least. That if we're going to use them, this is the spot. Might have to move, especially the eagle, though. But we'll see about that. The reason why I raised the ground and plopped so many trees down is because of sightline. And I might be mistaken. I'm pretty sure I'm not. But I think that's also what they do in regular parks as well. I placed this ready-made airplane there. That's not going to stay. The whole area is going to get redeveloped, and I'm not sure where the cut is here, but there's going to be another cut in this where I finish off a little bit more between recordings, because I figured you might not want to see everything. If I'm wrong about that, then let me know. It would save me a ton of time, to be honest. I'm happy to skip it as well. I have a plan for this. I'm not going to spoil it, I suppose. Should have possibly found a better way of doing this. And I'm sure there is one. Just not, in my repertoire of work. And this is when I was uncertain whether or not was a little bit ahead of its time. With throwing some special effects in, and I go a little bit crazy with the special effects here, as you will see eventually. And the fire underneath there, sort of gives a little bit of a vibe to the place, and I am fine with that, but it should have maybe been moved a little, as you will see when we finish it all off. The amount of special effects here, mainly the mist here, which I'll go crazy with, that's basically what will drop the frame rates, at least on my side of things. Now it only drops when I'm like zoomed out and get all of it in from a decent view or like decent altitude. It's not like the game is lagging itself, just a little bit. Especially, or my game screen wasn't lagging that much, but the recording screen looked to be lagging a little. But I think once I sped up time, it didn't really show that much. So that's a upside, I suppose. Especially since this is 6 times the speed of what it usually is. So hopefully skipping a frame here and there wouldn't really. Okay, fair enough. You see it ever so slightly here and there. But this is not how the game actually runs, and not how it will seem to be running either. It's just this one area that the game / my computer didn't really like, which I suppose should be a sign that things are not working as they would in vintage land. Now the thought here is to have sort of a Indiana Jones type of vibe, where some archaeologists, maybe the gardener from the last area we made would have, you know, some sort of Indiana Jones vibe to it. There's no actual archaeologist in here, but you know, a nice little food for thought at least. These are just going to be supports for the plane because, you know, it needs to stand upright. And that's all. That is all that is about. Try to figure out where to put the wings. Obviously, going to need some of those as well. And I decide that this would be a great spot. Just need to cover it with some rocks in order to, you know, hide the fact that it's sticking out of the ground like as if it was no one's business. And there we go. There was a cut again. And quite a lot happens between each cut now, or between that cut. But I suppose that's fine. I wanted to make sort of like a structure that looked a little like as if it was, you know, made by whatever resources was available right here. And I start with these but that gave a little bit too much of a cabin feel of sorts. You know, sure, it's old, but it's made by construction material or materials used to construct stuff. And we end up covering it all in driftwood because, of course, you would find driftwood in a forest type area. But well, possibly not. But at least it gives it more of a you know, slapped together kind of look. Obviously not slapped together for the park, but slapped together in terms of resources available to the area where it's put together, where it comes from, where it hails from, where we theoretically would be when you get to this ride. And the beauty of driftwood is that it really, you know, plays to my strengths. It's more, you know, a random placement of you know, a little can stick out here and there, no worries. Rather than, you know, it having to be a purpose to everything sticking out. You know, having to be, you know, measure it up and be good about it. But yeah, we're gonna finish off the episode by putting in a entrance area to the ride, or to the ride area. In that regard, I'm not really sure that the toilet would or restroom would actually fit there, but it is what it is. Now it's done, basically. There's no lights in the area except for those two torches. Felt like those might do well for setting sort of a vibe. Those had a double meaning to them, both being lights and also being sort of vibe setting. We're gonna go. I'm fairly happy actually with the choice of stuff here. Let's have a look. Whenever you feel like it, there we go. I feel like the wing actually was a nice little addition here, because it sort of sets the vibes of both the ride, which is a plane ride and new with the content pack, but also sets the vibe in terms of what can be expected for the area, because, you know, it's just the wing, not the plane. Anyways, that's my thoughts. But we're about to jump on into the live section where we go through everything that has been done. As you can see, here is an overview of the area of the second ride we put down. Hopefully we'll also get around to placing some interesting stuff in the next one. If you enjoyed this, though, be sure to smack the like button and let me know in the comment section. Alright, I'll see you all in the live section. It's about 20 seconds away, so I suppose I was a little preemptive in my, you know. We're going to finish off by going through this ride by ride. obviously it's gonna, you know, go a little bit quick for you guys to actually get a feel on it right now. But I'll see you in the live section. Well, hello there. So let's go through what we've done today so far, or you know what we will have done today. We didn't do anything over here, so we're just gonna casually skip that. I'm gonna stop here for a second to show off this beautiful thing here, because that's what I was on about in the last episode. That, you know, this I felt like this turned out well, especially this. Oh, hello. This part here, and if we turn to nighttime for a second. There you go. I feel like that turned out well. Whatever happens with this road on the left there, not sure yet. Not yet decided. Still to be decided. Same goes with the name, so if anyone has any ideas on that, be sure to throw that in the comment section. Obviously, this, or not obviously necessarily, but this episode is being recorded, with footage for it at least, is being recorded back to back with the first episode. Which means I've basically been sitting here from whenever the vintage pack released today until now, which is 2 o'clock in night. So yeah, my body is aching from sitting on the chair all day. But enough of that. As we come in here, I'll put the links in the description. I did not build these myself. I tweaked this one a little with the poles, changed the poles on them, and I'm going to tweak this building here as well, making it wider so that we cover the whole gap there. The reason why I didn't build them from scratch is because, let's face it, other people will and have done it a lot better than I do. So I figured, you know, let's give them the credit they deserve, and forget who created what, and rather leave it in the description. But yeah, that will also work, I suppose. And also, these buildings look beautiful. I mean, look at the detail, the lighting on, especially that one might have been a little overdone. This one looks decent, and then this one has no lighting. But this corner building here, that looks fabulous. Holy smoking potatoes! I can dig that. Very, very nice. My humble opinion, anyways. Obviously, that's just an opinion. Also, I'm not so sure about the balloon people and eagle, person and eagle. Mostly because, you know, do they really fit here? Not really sure. The reason why they're there is because if they're gonna fit in any park at any point, at any day, it must be here. Well, at least you could also probably work in it like a, you know, Thanksgiving park, if that was ever done as a theme. But yeah, also the reason why I raised the ground here, I probably mentioned this in the voiceover as well, but raised it in order to hide some sightlines, because in larger parks especially, that is a thing they care about in order to not break the immersion. And that's also what I was on about with all these trees here towards the end of the episode. Obviously some of these will have to go because that looks hideous. But yeah, we didn't really finish off this part. There's gonna have something similar happening to it, like this does. We could possibly switch to daytime because there's not much happening here during night. No lighting done yet. But yeah, plane crash, name to be desired, improved, possibly. Fence will go all the way up there at some point. Try to like make it out of stuff you could find in the woods, but I feel like I might have failed a little. Driftwood from the wood, yeah. No one really got sold on that, did they? So this is the exit. The reason why it's covered is so that you're not supposed to see what's happening behind the fence there. The point of it, or the thought behind it. And here with the plane, obviously, plane crash. Guess where the name came from, or possibly where the plane came from, depending on which came first. with the engine as well. Before you enter the ride, you whirl around, I would imagine, and then you head on over to the exit. Now, I think I overdid the special effects a little, because I think that is what is dragging down the quality of the recording a little, and also my screen, to some degree, but lesser, but still distant degree. So yeah, that is that, and that's the 2 rides we have so far. We're gonna be probably connecting all this up to the main road, so to speak, early next episode, and possibly also look into where to go for the continuation of this. Obviously, we need to expand upon the main street here, and I think for this area here, I might just steal a lot from the Steam Workshop and post the links in the description. Just for the simple fact that other people do it better than me, and it's a few buildings, and it looks good, but I can do buildings elsewhere as well. That's the thinking behind it. If you're opposed to that, leave some thoughts in the comment section. I'll stop immediately. Maybe, once we get going a little, and I get the feel for it and all that, maybe we'll go back and like remove them and build them anew. The possibility. But yeah, that will be the end of this one. If you enjoyed it, please smack the like button. If you guys want to stay up to date on all things average, be sure to subscribe. And if you got any thoughts, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below, and I'll get right on those. Till next time, though, cheerio.